You know, when most of us hear the cloud, our minds jump to storing photos or maybe some documents. But for the government, it's a whole different ballgame. We're talking about modernizing services for millions of people, making sense of absolutely massive amounts of data, and of course, protecting the nation's most critical secrets. So how exactly does the government pull this off? Let's dive in.
All right, so here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll get into the huge digital dilemma the government is facing. Then we'll look at why a government cloud is nothing like the one you or I use every day. After that, we'll see how they pick the right digital fortress for the job and how they use their incredible buying power to get the best deals. And finally, we'll bring it all home and show you how this tech is actually changing your world and what the future might look like. So let's start with the core problem. Government agencies are facing this perfect storm, right? They're dealing with an absolute avalanche of data coming from everywhere. At the same time, a lot of their technology is getting old, and they have to protect all of it from some really serious global threats that are changing all the time.
And that leads to a totally fair question. I mean, if commercial cloud services are powerful enough for, 95% of Fortune 500 companies, why would the government need something different? Well, the answer really comes down to the unique nature of its mission.
Because, well, the stakes are just on another level. We're not talking about just backing up some files. We're talking about crunching data that informs national security decisions, running the systems that manage our power grids and water supply, and protecting assets that are absolutely vital to how the country functions. This isn't just a tech upgrade. It's mission critical. And that, right there, that leads us to the single biggest difference: security. A government-grade cloud is built from the ground up on a foundation of security and sovereignty that is just worlds beyond what any commercial service offers. And to really get a feel for how different we're talking, check out this analogy. Yeah, that pretty much hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? When you're dealing with something as sensitive as criminal justice data or national security intel, you need a fortress, not just a padlock. You need the digital equivalent of a fortified vault with armed guards, not just a standard lock and key. So what does that fortress-level security actually look like? Let's break it down. For a commercial cloud, the people working there get pretty standard background checks. For government cloud, nope. The staff with access are vetted U.S. citizens who have gone through extensive screening. Your data isn't just stored in some random data center somewhere in the world. It's kept in U.S. sovereign, physically isolated facilities. And it's not just about following best practices. It's about mandatory, strict adherence to tough federal standards like FedRAMP High.
Okay, so here's where it gets even more interesting. It's not like there's just one government cloud. Even within this super secure world, there are different levels of security and different features. It's definitely not a one-size-fits-all situation. Agencies have to pick the right fortress for their specific mission.
There are a few different flavors, and it really depends on the job. So for example, a local police department that needs to work with a bunch of different community partners, something like Microsoft's GCC is a great fit. But for, say, a state police force that handles much more sensitive data, you'd want to step up to GCC High, which is way more locked down and is operated only by screened U.S. persons. Then you have the real heavy hitters like AWS GovCloud for, say, a federal agency that's building a massive custom system from scratch. See, it's all about matching the tool to the mission. So you're probably thinking, wow, all this specialized, super high security tech must cost an absolute fortune, right? Well, you'd think so, but the government has a really powerful strategy to manage those costs by basically using its massive size to its advantage. It's called the One Gov strategy, and the idea behind it, which is run by the GSA, is actually pretty simple but incredibly powerful. Instead of having thousands of different agencies all trying to negotiate their own deals, the federal government acts as one single giant customer. This consolidates all of that buying power to get the absolute best prices and terms possible. And get this, the results are absolutely mind-blowing. Through these big, unified agreements with major tech companies, the OneGov strategy has locked in discounts of up to 90%. And that's not just about saving a few bucks on a line item. We're talking about freeing up billions of taxpayer dollars that can then go toward other critical missions and services. And just to be clear, this isn't some backroom handshake deal. The GSA has a very clear, transparent, and structured process for working with these tech companies. It's a whole framework designed to make sure everything is fair, competitive, and at the end of the day, gets the best possible value for the public. Okay, so the government is getting amazing technology at a huge discount. That's great, but what does it actually mean for you? How does this high-tech, super secure cloud really affect the services you see and use every single day?
Well, one of the coolest pieces of tech that makes this all possible is something called edge computing. The easiest way to think about it is like this. Instead of a smart traffic light having to send a signal all the way to a data center hundreds of miles away and then wait for instructions, it has a tiny little brain right there at the intersection. This lets it make split-second decisions, which is absolutely critical for things that need to happen right now.
And this technology enables some truly incredible stuff. I mean, think about it. We're talking about smart power grids that can instantly reroute electricity during a blackout. We're talking about convoys of autonomous trucks that make our supply chains more efficient. Real-time patient monitoring in hospitals that literally saves lives. Smart traffic lights that ease congestion in your city. And even predictive maintenance that can spot a problem with a bridge or a power plant before it fails. This is where the cloud stops being some abstract idea and starts becoming a real, tangible part of our world.
So, when you pull back and look at the big picture, it's obvious this isn't just about new servers and software for the government. This whole shift represents a new era of efficiency, security, and maybe most importantly, a new kind of collaboration between the government and private industry.
This quote from the GSA really nails it. By acting as one customer and building these deep partnerships with tech leaders, they're fundamentally changing the old way of doing things. It's a real cultural shift towards smarter spending, stronger security, and better results for all of us.
From national security all the way down to your daily commute, this move to a smarter government cloud is reshaping our world in ways we're really just starting to see. It's changing how the government works from the inside out. So the final question is for you. As this amazing technology keeps evolving, what part of your world, what government service, do you want to see transformed next?